Okay, so we now set up our player. We need to set up our circle avoid here. So let's go to function and we'll do spawn square because that's technically in order up at the top here. So it's good to spawn everything player square circle star. All right, player square circle star. And then we'll set up the circle actual later. So let's set up the square here. So we're going to say square collect is equal to SKSpriteNode, and we're going to make that an off-white color. And we will set up the color later. And the size is going to be the square size. Oftentimes when you're coding, you set everything up first and then you change it later. It's very common. In fact, it's good to set everything up first and then go in steps. You don't set everything up to be perfect right away, especially when you have to test. Square collect dot size is equal to square size. A little bit redundant, but in case you want to add in your own art, you don't have to add it in twice. Right? Square size or square collect dot position is equal to CG point. And here we are going to set a random. So we're going to say let random x is equal to int arc for random underscore uniform. And we'll say this is between 500, or let's say, yeah, 450 and plus 300. And what that's going to do is that's going to put it somewhere in the 300 here. So the x will be random x and the y will be 1,000. So we are going to spawn the square somewhere up at the top. And every time we spawn the square, it's going to be at a random x position because the square is going to be coming down. Let's add in the square collect dot physics body is equal to sk physics body, and we'll say rectangle size square collect dot size square collect dot physics body dot affected by gravity is equal to false. Square collect dot physics body dot allows rotation is equal to false. We don't want it to be affected by gravity there. And again, it's asking you to change this here. And it's funny because Swift changes so much that a little while ago that was correct here. But we do have to add in that extra item here because we are going to unwrap that optional there. So what we're going to do next is physics body. We're going to go to square collect dot physics body dot category bitmask is equal to physics category dot and in this case is going to be dot square, and then square collect dot physics body dot contact test bitmask is equal to physics category dot player. We also need to add square collect dot physics body dot dynamic here, and then we're going to make that equal to false, and we're going to say square collect dot name is equal to square name because we're going to check for that later. And then we're going to go to self dot add child, and we're going to say square collect. Okay, now you notice that we essentially typed out the same thing but for different body here. This is what SpriteKit does, and this is what is a part of the engine. Let's do spawn circle avoid, and in here we're going to say circle avoid is equal to SKSpriteNode, and we'll add in a color. We'll say this is off-white color, and we'll set the size to circle size, and then we'll go to circle avoid dot size is equal to circle size, just in case you want to add in your own art. Because when you add in your art, you don't set the size. Let's go to circle avoid dot position is equal to CG point, and in here we're going to say that our variable, we'll call this random x. And if you really want to and save a bit of time, you can literally just copy and paste it. It's going to be the same variable. Now remember, you can set up another variable within, or in this case it's a constant, within a function, because this random x will only have a scope of this function here. So we have our CG point, and our CG point is going to be equal to random x, and our y will be 1,000. It's essentially the same as the square collect. Let's add in our physics here. Circle avoid dot physics body is equal to sk physics body, and we'll say rectangle of size. We'll say that circle avoid dot size, and we might as well add in the bracket here because that's what Swift wants you to do. And we'll say circle avoid dot physics body dot affected by gravity is equal to false. Circle avoid dot physics body dot allows rotation is equal to false, and we're going to say circle avoid dot, so we got circle avoid dot physics body dot category bitmask is equal to physics category dot, in this case it's circle, and then circle avoid dot physics body dot contact text bitmask is equal to physics category dot player. Then we also need to say circle avoid dot physics body dot dynamic is equal to false as well. Then we're going to say circle avoid dot name is equal to circle name. Then we're going to go to self.addChild and we'll say circle avoid. Perfect. All right, so we got the player, the square, the circle. We need to add in the star here. So we'll say function spawn star. Okay, we'll say star is equal to SKSpriteNode, and we'll say this is the off-white color, and CG size will be the star size. Now, if I set that in here, it's going to give me, well, a problem. And let's see what it says here. It says, well, we have to unwrap it here. Don't worry about that. Let's add in a var. We'll call this random size. Make it equal to int arc for random underscore uniform. And we can make this between, well, we could probably make it between 1 and 3. So 1 and 3, like that. I think that looks pretty good. And since we're not mutating it, let's add an let here. Then we'll say star size is equal to CG size, and then we're just going to set the random size. So every time we set or spawn a star, it's going to be a random size. Okay, and we do need to add in our exclamation point there. And we're going to go to star dot size is equal to star size, just in case you want to add in your own art. Now, for the most part here, we're going to add in a star dot position is equal to CG point, and we're going to add in an X and Y here. And the stars, again, are being spawned with this random X here. So add in the exclamation point here too, by the way. And we'll say that the star is random X, and then the Y is 1,000. Again, this is being spawned somewhere on the X coordinate, which is across up at the top here. Okay. Lastly, we're going to add self.addChild, and we're going to say that it's the star. Wow. So we've just added in a lot of items here. Now, just because we've added in items doesn't mean it's going to work. But what we need to do is, in the next tutorial, we'll set up the shape node. This includes the tutorial.